So, thanks again, everyone, for taking the time to join us today. We're going to be talking about how you should be swiping left on transactional advocacy and how Snigdha will share some strategies that will actually work. Um, Before I start, here are some housekeeping items. This webinar will be recorded, so we'll send the recording after. If you have any questions or concerns, please type them in the Q&A section or type them in the chat. I will be monitoring it. And then also, if you guys aren't aware, our Session AI Summit is happening in September, and so we'll be giving you guys a special discount code as well. In terms of the agenda, I thought I'd do a very quick intro on the speakers here. So I'm Chia Turner, um, head of marketing here at Base. I'll let everyone know, Snigdha.
Well, hey everyone, I'm Snigdha. I am a customer marketing lead at Freshworks. I've been there for close to 7 years now, so I think this is going to be fun to talk about all my experiences there in this webinar.
I'm excited for it. My name is Rona, head of customer programs at Base. I work with our customers on getting their programs implemented and showing successes in their programs.
Awesome. Sorry. And then, sorry, I realized I jumped the gun here. I'm going to go over a quick overview about Base as well as our relationship with Freshworks, who's a customer of ours. And then we're going to dive right into Snigdha's presentation. But Rona, I'll let you take it from here and I'll control the slides.
So at Base, we've been working with Freshworks for about 2 years, maybe 2 years plus. In their advocacy program, we run an advocacy program for their customers where you can see here there's different learning journeys that their customers can do. Other than the learning journeys, we also do a lot of advocacy activities that they run through the Base portal, product guides, reading materials, education, advocacy to generate a lot of content through Base, and so on and so on. We're also working on doing different integrations to understand how customers are participating and behaving outside of Base, and then how we can activate them to do things within Base.
Love it.
Yeah, anything else?
Yes. And without further ado, we'll hand it off to Snigdha, who will be presenting on, advocacy strategies that deliver results.
Amazing. Second, as I share my screen. Okay. I hope everyone can. Oh my God. Having a minute today morning.
Oh, good.
Okay, all right. Well, I am super excited to be here because I feel like this is something that doesn't get too much attention. I feel like this is a topic that a lot of us need to be talking about a lot more. And I feel like I've spent a lot of time at Freshworks obsessing over one thing. It is, how do we get customers to not just use our products, but feel genuinely involved in what we're building? And if you're here today, I feel like you have very similar questions. And one of them could be, how do I build an advocacy program that actually sticks? And whether you're getting started or whether you've already got a program up and running, I feel like a lot of us find ourselves falling back to very traditional advocacy models. And if that happens, then I feel like things start to get a little transactional, which might not be the best of things. So one of the things that we started doing, so at Freshworks, I think we started building advocacy for the first time about 5 to 6 years ago. And the goal was super simple at that point of time. We wanted customers to sort of come and do referrals and reviews with us. And the easiest way to do that was by reaching out to them simply via email and just going like, hey, do you want to leave us a G2 review or a Gartner review? And you'd get a gift card in return. Or we'd say, I don't know, do you want to come do a referral call for us? And then you get to pick a swag that you like. And that kind of really helped us get them interested in what we were doing, just to get them a little more engaged in all the things that we had. And as we scaled, like Rona had shared, we started using tools like Base and portals to kind of build our advocacy tasks. And it became kind of standard. It was a really good foundation that we built at that point of time because we needed customers to come to a place to come interact and do all of these things. And now they could also attend a webinar, or they could leave a testimonial, and then they'd get points for doing all these different activities. And it was great because it was all recorded in one place, and it really helped us sort of scale as we grew. And one of the things that we realized was that these kind of advocacy programs were really good to build the foundation. It helped us become more functional, but we also wanted to become a little more strategic in the way we approached advocacy. So what we realized was that we needed to use this base to build a lot more on top of that. So if you're doing just this, that's great to start off with. But if you want to do more, it's always important to try and scale with your customer maturity, because your customers keep evolving. And it's really important for your programs to grow with them, to support their growth as well. And that shows that you're thinking about the long-term picture when it comes to advocacy in general. So being centered around the brand goals is great, but if you're not being centered around customer growth, then that kind of becomes a point where you really got to start thinking, what kind of results do I want to see from my programs? And I feel like if you're doing all of this and not more, then your programs are going to be a little disconnected from your business, from the business impact. You want to be more synchronized with what your company is doing overall, so your programs are starting to see real success. And this is also going to lead in customers not being too emotionally attached to your programs, which is a very big factor when it comes to building advocacy programs. So I feel like if you're chasing customers to do the same kind of engagements, then you're going to find yourself speaking to very burnt out folks. They're going to be writing back to you saying, give me some time before I can come back and do this advocacy ask for you. So that is one of the main reasons why foundational advocacy programs are important, but they're not enough. And a good way for you to know where you are in your advocacy journey, in your program journey, is to ask yourself, if your advocacy portal disappeared tomorrow, would your top customers still do advocacy for you? Would they still be your advocates? And if you feel like they aren't, then that's okay, because there are still great ways for you to build and design your programs to still connect with these customers, which is what we're going to talk about now. So I think for us at Freshworks, we have a lot of programs, and we feel like it's important to have different programs, because a one size fits all advocacy approach is not going to work for all customers, because they're not the same. They want different things. So you're going to find customers coming to your programs because some of them want visibility, others want to influence and grow in their career. And then you're going to have folks who only want to network and grow their community. So if you're building your program based on personas, then that's going to help you connect and resonate with them. It's going to help you build your programs with intent. And that's something we latched onto very quickly. Once we started seeing this work with customers, we realized that it was really important for us to know who they are and what they want, and try and understand what success looks like for them. Because this isn't just a program where we want them to give us a quote or do a case study with us. We really want to try and build something bigger with them. So it was important to kind of think of the larger image, the bigger picture here. And you can combine that with the second strategy. They kind of go hand in hand. I really like this because you can build tiers in advocacy. It's sort of like a cake. You can sort of really figure out what type of engagements you want. Like, do you want engagements that are light, medium, deep? And this could be different for each person. It could be different for each company when they're building programs out based on the different activities that they have on their within their advocacy programs. So for example, let's just consider for this slide that the light activities here are doing a reference, leaving a quote, or even just joining your community. Medium over here is doing a case study or speaking at an event, or speaking with analysts for references. I don't know if a lot of you get references like that, reference requests like that, but we get a lot. So I would categorize that as a medium. And then you have deep advocacy connections, like a customer advisory board or exec sponsorships. Then you have PR, and these are slightly more strategic, so we categorize them as deep. And this kind of helps you understand who your personas are and how you can bucket them within each of these different levels of advocacy. And we actually tried this and it worked really well. And we kind of went a little deeper and realized that within one customer account, you can still find each of these different levels of engagement. So for example, for us, Carrefour is a very strong advocate. And we've engaged Carrefour at each of these different levels. We have their C-level who's been doing exec sponsorships and PRs with us. We have a senior director who's been doing case studies with us. And then we have an IT manager from the same company who's been giving us testimonials or product feedbacks to even help improve what we're doing. And it's been great because this feels like a more wholesome form of engaging a customer. You aren't really going to the same person with all these different asks, and you're a lot more clear, a lot more strategic when you're approaching them, and you know that, okay, I can go to this person for this ask and not bother the other person for a certain ask. And this has helped us kind of build out these different tiers of it's just a nice way to look at it, because it also gives you clarity on how to build your programs further. And if you see success with one or two customers, you can always build that out for your next cohort of customers. So it's not like you have to approach it all at once. You can always approach it at a phased form, and that works too. So with that, I'm going to move on to something that we don't do at Freshworks. And this is something that I honestly really resonate with. I don't know if you will too, but we don't wait until we see a success milestone to introduce advocacy, which basically means that we embed advocacy right from the get-go of when the customer is being onboarded. You can always find these little touch points to introduce it so it feels more natural, and you're not going at it in one go saying, hey, do a case study, do a PR, come speak at an event, but you're really introducing them to advocacy in a very, very phased manner. And they feel like it's a part of their roadmap, which is something I truly believe in. I think it's so important for customers to have an advocacy roadmap. So for example, over here, if you look at onboarding, when a customer is at the onboarding phase, you can always invite them to come join adoption groups where they're talking about how they can use the product to its full potential. And while that's going on, you can reach out asking them for quotes on how that process is going for them. And that's your first touch point to get advocacy. And then you have your first success, which could be anything from implementation to having conversations with the product teams, reaching out and asking them how that went. How was implementation? Can you tell us a little bit more about it? I feel like there are all these little milestones that we should use as touch points to reach out to them and ask them how they feel, and use those little moments to put together these assets that we can use for larger campaigns. And this is something that I feel like a lot of us treat advocacy as a post-sale checkbox, but there's so much more to it. And if you approach it in all these different phases, you can learn so much from the customers itself. And they feel like they're being valued, like their thoughts are being taken into consideration. And we're working with the product teams to ensure that each of these different stages are going well for them. And of course, renewal is always the best time to reach out to a customer. They're doing well. You can always reach out asking to spotlight the work that they're doing. So I feel like that's one of the best areas to reach out to them. But this sort of gives you an idea of how the life cycle, this could look different for each company, by the way. You can always consider what your customer life cycle looks like and think of ways to bring in these different touch points. But for us, this has sort of worked, and we feel like this is a great time to naturally introduce it into the process. And another thing over here that I think is very special for designing advocacy campaigns, is to consider the human experience of it. It's great to automate all of your programs. And I think, like Rona had shared, Base has been great for us. We've been building our customer repositories. We've been tracking how customers are growing. And we've also been inviting them to do one-on-one spotlight webinar sessions, which have been going really well. So platforms like these are really helpful, and it's also important to capitalize on top of that to kind of bring in a human element. One of the things that I'll talk about over here is the surprise shoutouts. It's amazing. It's this thing that we do where we track how our customers are doing, the top strategic ones. We try and see what are the milestones that they're achieving in their, not just professionally as a company, but also personally what they're doing. Recently, I think Freshworks, so McLaren Racing is a Freshworks customer, and we've been following the match recently, and we've been constantly putting out social posts, and they hit a double podium, which is a huge deal for us. And we didn't lose out on that moment. We did want to show that we care about their success, and we put that on social media, and there were a lot of reshares. And it's big things like that to also small personal things. Like we had a customer a month ago who was about to leave on her maternity break, and so we sent her a little baby hamper, and she was so happy because she felt seen. She felt so she felt like we really cared about who she was and what her growth was, and we were celebrating all the small and big moments in her life. And she immediately appointed another person to cover for all advocacy asks when she was away, which is something that I don't know, maybe she could have done, but she did it, and we felt like all these small things led up to her wanting to support us when she was gone as well. So it just goes to show you that it's really important to track who your customers are. Don't just go to them when you need something from your side, but try and celebrate the small things that they do as well. And we also, I think it's also important to invite them to exclusive meetups with, maybe it doesn't necessarily need to be execs or C levels, but also other folks in your company, like the product folks or people who they can learn from. Like these one-on-one invites could always help you gain trust, and it also helps you show them that you care about their journey with you professionally as well, and also shows that you being an advocate is also an experience, and they get some perks that other customers don't. So now that we've spoken about building programs and all the different strategies, I feel like this is a very tricky topic, but I'm going to try and be as honest as possible, because this is also happens to be one of my favorite topics. So I feel like I've approached my execs quite a few times to ask them to talk to them about my programs, and sometimes it's gone well, and sometimes it's absolutely not. So one of the things that I learned from my current VP, Kevin Lau, I feel like there's a lot that we've learned from him in terms of building programs out, but this is something very specific. I had gone to pitch my program, and it didn't really go that well. So he gave me feedback saying that one of the best ways to do this is you don't need to talk about your program, but you can talk about one of the business OKRs, like the company's OKRs, and then talk about how your program connects to that. And I was like, why didn't I think about that before? I mean, I did think about it, but not in that same context. And it immediately gave me so much clarity, because I build a lot of programs. I work with a lot of different teams, and it's really important for you to know what kind of impact your program's delivering. So this also helped me when I was putting the program together. Like I went back and I was like, okay, let me see how I can do this again. And when I thought about what is that one company OKR, a business OKR that I want to personally connect my program to, it immediately felt like there was so much more substance in what I was talking about. There was a lot more measurable impact when I was putting this program together. And when I went back and when we were able to talk about like this specific OKR, and this is how it trickles down to all of the programs that I'm running, it felt a lot more, it just felt like there was more credibility in what you're presenting. And that's really important, because you want yours to eventually connect back to what the entire organization's working towards. And you're immediately taken a lot more seriously when you present yourself in a much more collected way. And of course, it also helped that our programs had dashboards that we were working towards. And I have a lot of trackers. I don't know about you guys, but if I'm working on one program, I feel like I have 5 to 6 trackers, and it is so hard to sometimes consolidate all of that into just one dashboard for people to look at. And with advocacy, it can be a little tricky because you don't have any set metrics like all of the other teams do, like the sales teams and the CSM teams. Ours really depends on the kind of program that we're running. But a couple of the things that have helped me is to just try and highlight how our programs connect back to the revenue that we're impacting. Like, talk about the deals that you're closing with your advocacy, with your reference programs. Talk about the deal value. Talk about how many customers you're able to retain with your through your advocacy programs. It could be VOC, it could be community, it could even be life cycle marketing. But showcasing some of those key metrics, and I have another slide on this topic exclusively, so we can get into details there. But just to give you an idea that it's important to showcase even just a small dashboard. It doesn't even need to be big. It just needs to be a tiny dashboard that covers a few things that can show how your program really shows measurable impact, and that can help you build it out further as you're seeing some sort of success with your program. And another thing that I have personally liked doing is to talk about the cost of not doing advocacy. Like, I have a lot of salespeople who go ahead and try and close sales deals without using any customer advocates, and then it doesn't work. And then they come back saying that, we don't have customer advocates. And then we show them base, where we have like a whole repository of advocates who they just have to use. And this has actually helped in our favor, because we just have to collect all of these details. Like, it's important to show which advocates are closing deals, but it's also important to talk about the ones that aren't using customer advocates, and showcase why it's important to promote your program. Like, talk about the deals that we're not able to close because of lack of advocates. Talk about what the competitors are doing. Like, for example, if you don't have user groups, there are so many companies doing user groups today. And it's great to show these examples and showcase how it's working for some of the other companies, and kind of working that into your conversation with your execs to showcase why this is something that we don't have, and how this eventually connects back to that business OKR that we're talking about, and really put those points together. And then this is something that that's kind of different. It depends on the opportunity that you get, but I always encourage, I feel like a lot of execs these days have an open door policy where you can set up some time with them and discuss, but you need to ask questions to your execs to be able to deliver exactly what they want from you. And that is so important, because sometimes we're not really clear on what the asks are, because we get so many different types of asks. So it's always great to ask questions if you don't know exactly what you're supposed to deliver. And in our case, I feel like advocacy is so important, because we have a lot of boardroom conversations. We have execs wanting to speak with investors, wanting to talk about certain customer use cases. So it's good to ask about what they want. Like, what kind of customer stories do you need? What is your vertical? Like, what do you want to talk about? How do you want to represent customer content in boardroom conversations? And the more questions you ask, the more clarity you get. And I feel like they feel like they're working with you to put this together. So it feels like you're automatically going to have someone supporting you when these conversations are going on. And it's a great way for you to feel empowered when you're working with alongside an exec to put this vision together and then execute it based on your programs and trickle that down. I feel like it's a really good practice to have. And finally, this one's my favorite. It's getting an exec sponsor, which is the hardest thing to do sometimes. But we work with so many different teams. We work with the customer success teams. We work with the sales teams. So if you're not able to find an exec sponsor within your function, then always lean on these teams, because they definitely want to achieve what you're doing. They have their OKRs tied in with what you're doing. They want customer references. They want customer stories. So you're probably going to find your exec sponsor in one of those other functions. So I would definitely encourage to look at other functions and to always build shared OKRs with these functions. We've built a shared OKR system with the customer success teams. So every quarter we try and see how many customer stories we can do together, how many references we can pull out together, and how many advocacy activities in general we can do. That way it holds accountability on both sides. And that's honestly been pretty good. I feel like A lot of the CSMs are way more involved now. They want to know what advocacy activities we have going on. They're a lot more encouraged to nominate customers for advocacies. And if a sales rep is able to close a deal using a reference that you shared, they definitely want to do more as well. So it feels like if you're able to find the right advocates within the crowd, it's going to help you with the campaigns that you're building. And the last one is, this goes without saying that once you get an exec sponsor, they're going to help you promote internal adoption, which is really important. I know a lot of us are doing most of these. I'm sure every advocacy program that we build out, we try and do enablement sessions. We try and ask people to come join and talk to them about what we do and how this benefits what they're doing and build all of those great synergies. But it's also really important to have an easy access to the repository that you're building. Everything needs to be in one place. If you have things in different places, people are not going to go looking for it. So try and put all of your resources in one place and direct people back to that place. It's also important to kind of showcase your internal success stories. This is something that was the hardest for us to do, but it has gotten to a much better place now. It's to basically find internal champions. So think of it like advocates within your companies, but they're advocating for the work that you're doing to make your job easier. And it helps. It takes time, but it really helps because you just need to find like 4 to 5 people who see the good in the work that you're doing and get them to champion what you're doing to all of your other teams, and it's going to work really well. And try and spotlight their success too, like put together slides or like around your office spaces and showcase what they're doing, because they're doing a lot and it takes a lot to do all of it. So I feel like that's a great way to also build that feeling of involvement and empowering them to empower other people. And also, you can never go wrong with SPIF programs. I haven't had one person come and tell me that, oh, don't put me a part of your SPIF program. I think everybody wants a piece of that. They all want to be rewarded for the good work that they're doing. So if you have the budget for it, and if that's something you can do, then I would definitely recommend even like a small for a small little duration. Like let's say you have your end of quarter and you want to try and get some OKRs in, I would suggest to like just do a 2 week SPIF program or something like that. And this goes without saying, I don't know how many of you do this, but I started doing it very late and I realized that this is something I should be doing much before. But joining your all hands, even if it's just for 5 minutes, to talk to them about what you're doing, just to increase your visibility, is really important. And distribution process, which is basically ensure your content is everywhere. Like I've created so many case studies, but I still have people come and ask me, hey, do you have a customer story around this? And I'm like, I just posted about this on Slack on Monday. So I feel like you do a lot of good work, but your case studies are sitting in the shelf, just gathering dust. You need to get them around. You need to get people to see the work that you're doing. You need to improve your distribution process, create newsletters, post on Slack, try and create one synchronized hub where you can redirect people back to the good advocacy work that you're doing. And that is a great way to drive internal adoption. And just a quick one, I feel like we covered a few of these points before, but this is just to talk about the outcomes and how we can kind of measure impact. It's great to have some form of engagement metrics. It's always good to showcase how many customers you're able to convert from like the overall customer pool to your advocacy pool to like your champions. And then you just have like, you keep narrowing that down until you're able to really showcase how you're reaching out to each of your customer pools, and then tie all of that back to business KPIs. This is something I think I've said a lot already, but it's really important to showcase the revenue that you're influencing with your advocacy program, because without that, it doesn't matter what other number you have on your dashboard. You need to be able to showcase how you're influencing revenue. And it's not that hard to do it if you have an advocacy field on your CRM tool that just says that closed for deal or used customer reference. Like you can customize it to what your activity is with the sales team, but for us mostly it's providing them with a reference and them using that reference, and if the deal is closed or not. Like just adding that one field will help you pull all of that information from the CRM And that's going to help you build that specific metric, and it's going to add so much value to your dashboard. So even if that's just the only thing that you're showing, I would recommend that being like the first few things that you put together in your dashboard. And telling the stories behind the stat is so important, because if you're saying that you influenced X dollar revenue and this is the customer that helped you do it, that's going to stick. That's going to create this recall, and people are going to remember saying, oh, that's the customer that helped influence this much, and that's the team that did it. So I don't know, it's wishful thinking, but hopefully people remember it that way. But I feel like it's really important to also highlight these stories and the names, just so you have that recall coming back to you. So this is just a snapshot of our base advocacy section. I just wanted to call out how colorful and nice it looks, and it's great to always see how your advocacy pool is growing. And yeah, I think I just have one more slide here, which is my last slide. It's basically, I wanted you to take something back from this webinar if you don't already have these things built in. It's just some quick steps that you can do. It's what can you immediately take from this and implement and start doing right away? I would suggest to identify and segment your customers based on personas. Know your customers, what personas who they are, and how you can basically think of them in these different buckets and try and really build programs with intent that you can really connect with them to help them grow as well. And try and, if this is possible, if you're able to identify 3 life cycle moments, that would be amazing for you to organically introduce advocacy, because you don't want it to be something that you're pushing towards the end. You want it to gradually just get there. And the last one is what we discussed before, to even try and create one tiny little dashboard and connect that back to your business goal. So I guess that's it from me.
Well, I absolutely loved everything that you just presented on. I think that's a lot of great learnings. I'm always, as a marketer, I think it is incredibly important to understand your different personas so you can build the programs that resonate with them, identifying the life cycle moments that matter. And so we do have a couple of questions for you. So I'm going to kind of run through questions. The first question is from Courtney. She asks, Snigdha, is your advocacy program centralized under one team within Freshworks, or is it owned by different stakeholders?
That's a good question. It took us a long time, but we're finally under just we're one proper function. We have one VP we're called the customer engagement team. So everything from community, advocacy, life cycle, VOC, exec sponsorship, we all come under one proper function now, which is such a relief.
Yes, I feel like when you're not so siloed anymore and everyone's working towards that same goal, it makes it so much easier. Absolutely love that. The next question is from Raleigh. He goes, we broadly find it very hard to show advocacy as a need in the company right now, as it is hard to show value for an advocacy engine or to hire a team. Any suggestions for what has made this team appear as a value driver right now?
Yeah, I think it's really important for the entire team to be working towards one goal, and that's something that you don't really see many teams doing. And this again ties back to connecting all of this back to your business KPIs. I feel like if you're working towards that, if you're building all of your programs to help support, we roll up under our CMO. So everything that our CMO has as her OKRs come down to what we're doing. And we try our best in every program that we do to kind of meet her OKRs, to kind of help contribute and influence that in a positive way. So that's basically how we've been able to build our programs. And the way we kind of got seen in the company is because of our exec sponsor. I'd say Kevin our VP has been amazing. And we've been able to showcase, we've had that one person to do a meet and greet and showcase everything that we're doing across the company. And because we're able to deliver value that other teams are finding useful. We also have now the customer success team that's interested in what we're doing. We have the sales teams because now they want to know how they can use advocacy to close deals. So I feel like if you're able to meet the right stakeholders and show them the kind of value that you're bringing with what you're doing, you're automatically going to want, like, people are going to give you a seat at the table.
Yeah, no,
I couldn't agree more with what you just said. Really spot on.
yeah, I think that exec sponsor is pretty important to kind of just set the stage with other leaders so that we're all aligned there. Okay, I would have my own personal questions, but I'll ask you after. We have another question for Rona. How does BASE allow you to track advocacy-driven deal closure and sales pipeline revenue influence?
So I would say in base, it's easy to do because we are connected to the data points, and we do this, we automate this, the tracking. But any company, like Snigdha was saying earlier, if you can track your advocate within your CRM, then it's, you can build your dashboards, you can build your reports, and you can see whether, accounts that are touched by advocates retain longer, spend more, happier, and all the other things that we want to prove with the program.
Oh, love that. And yes, I will say, I've been at Base for 5 months and I love seeing the revenue influence reports that I always dive into to really track, oh, yeah, these are all the different activities, whether if you want to map it by the different references or the different case studies or the different types of advocacy. So being able to see that in Base has been very eye-opening for me as a marketer. Okay, I don't see any other questions. I also know that we are at time. We went a little bit over, but I kind of just want to say thanks again, everyone, for taking the time. Thank you again, Snigdha, for presenting on this wonderful topic. Now I really want to do a workshop as a next step. But yeah, let me know if there's anything else, because if not, then yeah, I just want to say thank you so much again for the time. Really appreciate it. We will be sharing the recording after this call, and so look out for that. And connect with Snigdha on LinkedIn so you can learn more from her. That is it
Awesome.
from us.
All right. Have a nice day.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great one, guys. Bye.